now that I've been walking.
Sounds like we're tweaking just a little bit.
I don't, I was like, I was still deciding.
Yeah, my presentation is going to be about small religious
Once you hit like 65 and out. So what's nice is you can service and talk about religion.
So you're going to go through the exact same process.
Yes,
But they're just showing how that
This is very interesting step for everybody.
What is more interesting
But there's
is
also
that
another
this
section.
publication is
Does everybody have an opportunity?
kids are populated over a dozen countries.
Did you all have an opportunity to learn the sentences?
More than 12 countries, over a dozen of countries. So they are in like different countries, and the population itself is less than 1 million. So the reason they are populated in all of these countries is that they have been persecuted over centuries, and the reason was in 2013. I believe everybody has
Just roll it.
that's what they started.
Yeah, just because I was just like, I need to get out of the house.
They have been like it was a different experience.
I was like, it was just some random place downtown. I was like, I just got out of the house.
Okay, we're gonna do a temperature check in the class. See where you're at.
Buy a Goodwill.
So we have some claim sentences, or most of us have some claim sentences. Some of us are catching up, so be sure that if you've missed some of the lectures, that you catch up and use your peers as models to help you so you can see this process. Now, the next thing I need to know is basically how you feel about moving forward in the actual organization of the outline, or if we want to start putting in those references. Not ready for references? Not ready for references, okay.
So we have to go back.
How many references are we supposed to use?
2.
2?
Mhm.
Okay.
So you're talking about like citing?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like within the speech, right? Like,
Yes. Yes,
So I have to
it's
go back
important.
and find where I found all this information.
Yes. You know where you found it all. You found it all.
Yeah, I would have liked to write it down as I found it though.
Just find it.
Because I've got like 7 different.
We're not ready for it, we're not ready for it, that's okay. That's why I checked to see where we're at.
Shouldn't that be what you were telling us to find the scholarly, whatever?
I know, it would just been nice to just write.
Okay, so let's go back and shape up our outlines. This is not outline format, right here. So when you're looking at your main points and you're going back, and you're seeing how this all fits together, you shouldn't have more than 2 or 3 main points for the small amount of time we have to deliver this presentation. And when you're talking about your subcategories, even though right now you have a whole bunch of information around here, you should only have 2 to 3 groups of information. So if you are writing out an outline and it looks something like this, it looks like a list, that just means that you need to look at this and group things together. So if we come back and we look at this, what is the power sentence that's going to be supporting of this? So everything underneath here is supporting that claim sentence. That's your evidence. So those are those pieces of information. Maybe you have some statistics. And as you go through this, the order that you want to have is the first thing, the power thing, is the scholarly source. A scholarly source in this type of a presentation will always be looked at with more esteem. The next thing would be a lesser source. So if you looked up a news article and it still supports it, then that would be a second item over here. So that these are the things that would support it. So you could have the statement that kind of summarizes this, the details that summarize that, but it all points back to here. And then, if appropriate, which it doesn't have to be, if appropriate, that anecdotal or that personal experience. that you have that relates to the topic. So some of you are very close to your topics, and you can add that as a last, and you don't have to, but that should be the order. The first is a scholarly, the second, current events, a lesser quality source, but still a good source. And the next would be the comments, the experience that you have or have observed, or maybe the thing that actually supports this. And when I looked at this, I saw that this supported this. So that's the flow that goes within organizing those. Okay, I'm gonna hold off on you working on this for a minute, and we're gonna work on a central idea for a thesis statement. That's another big thing. And most of you have enough information right now that you can write a good thesis statement. So let's do that. First thing, we talked about a specific purpose statement in our last class. Bless you. What are the three things we need in a specific purpose statement?
General purpose, the target audience, and the topic and goal.
General purpose, target audience, and your goal. It sounds like today I'm going to inform the class about the steps in investing in the stock market. Great. Sounds like that. And I would expect your entire outline, your entire speech to follow that kind of a format. You can see cause and effect, you can see a chronological order happening in that type of a presentation. Now we need to create a thesis statement. So a thesis statement is kind of a tricky thing because it's like a specific purpose statement. You aren't fully committed to it when you first write it. Things can change, bless you. So you may have an idea of what you want to do, and you're using your own personal experiences in order to create a specific purpose and a thesis statement, but then you start to research, and that may change a little bit, and it may change what you want to present to the class that you think is more relevant. So you go back and you tweak these several times before this is actually due. So if you find yourself feeling like, gosh, I can't keep this information in here because it doesn't represent my specific purpose statement, change your specific purpose statement. You don't have to be fully committed to it. Same goes for a central idea or a thesis. Okay, words used interchangeably again. A thesis or a central idea. How do we define that?
Thesis is your argument.
If it's persuasive.
Right. That's one. Right.
Okay, so we're going to remove all the pronouns. It's a single statement. I know your book says it can be two sentences. It's not. It's one sentence. One sentence that summarizes everything. Single declarative statement that summarizes everything. That's what it is. Yes.
You're confusing me with all these statements. This is central idea statement, so that's
The thesis.
that's the thesis that you're talking about?
Right.
Okay. Because I don't understand why you have general purpose, then you have a central idea statement, then you have a thesis. But that's all the same thing?
No.
They're all related.
So how are you supposed to say one thing that sounds different than the other?
I'll show you what the difference. So they're interrelated. So the general purpose is our relationship with the audience. So that's just saying, I'm going to expand this information that you know about this. So that's our relationship. The specific purpose statement specifically includes the audience, the target
When you
audience.
said, I'm going to educate you on the stock market, that's the specific purpose?
That's a
or not?
specific purpose statement. So the inform is right here. I'm going to inform the class on the steps in
Yeah, I got
investing in the
that.
stock market.
I got that. But I don't understand how you're supposed to say the same thing, but make it sound different in your thesis.
That's the next point. We just haven't explained it yet. So a single declarative statement that includes everything. So it's going to start with this goal. So let's pretend that I use this again, and it says, what was the last thing I said? The goal, the steps of investing in the stock market. The steps of investing in the stock market include, and then, let's say, research. What else would you say? It's your topic.
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, research. What else? If we were to guess, we're just going to pretend that we researched this.
What was the question again?
Okay, the steps in investing in the stock market include.
Experience?
Okay, we'll say research, experience,
Some
and money.
Yeah.
That's securing. Okay, so in this declarative sentence is not touchy-feely. It just states the thing in declaration. What I would expect, and this is where we have to go back and take a look at the main points, that you're writing out here, your claim sentences. I expect those claim sentences to be represented in what you said right here. So if I said research as one of the first things in this thesis statement, I expect my first claim sentence to reference research as the first important aspect, or one of the first important aspects, in investing in the stock market. And of course, you all have different topics, so it's going to sound different. But it's the same thing, it's logical divisions. It makes sense because you're just using what you worked here in order to create this thesis statement. So it should drop in. Hillary, does that make more sense?
So when do you say your specific purpose? You say that in the thesis?
No, like right beforehand, so like your specific purpose would probably be like your opening statement.
Yeah, it goes in your introduction.
Right.
It's blended in your introduction.
The thesis would probably,
This thesis statement is hard. I mean, this is easy, but the thesis statement is harder. There's hands down, it's just harder to create. When we get to persuasion, it gets more complicated. But for now, you should have a good feel for your direction. And if you are still piecing things together and you're not exactly sure if you're going to have this main point, if you want to swap out this reference and use something different, you still have the flexibility to do it. So now your job is to write your very first draft of a thesis statement. Okay, and you are not wholly committed to it. You're just trying to get something down on paper to see if this is going to work for you.